welcome to the fifth town hall meeting. Today we're going to be focusing on the Pebble Hills Regional Command area. So if you live or work in the east side of El Paso, there in the Pebble Hills area, today you'll be able to hear a little bit more about what is happening in that side of town. Now, before we do get started, we just like to go over a little bit of the format of the meeting. And so the format of the meeting is the commander, and we're going to talk about a little bit of the region. We're going to talk about some of the things that are going on there that may be of interest to you. And then a little bit later on, we're going to go ahead and be opening it up for questions. If you do have a question, you can go ahead and raise your hand there on the Teams meeting. And when you are prompted to do so, you will go ahead and unmute yourself, wait a few moments, and then we'll be able to hear your question. You can also, of course, send us your question to askpd@elpasotexas.gov. We also ask if the question is going to be related to a specific case or involving a certain type of certain individual. We ask that you send that information to askpd@elpasotexas.gov because that'll probably be the better format to go ahead and address your concern or question that you may have. And the commander, of course, will have that information, and he will be more than happy to address that concern that you have. Also, just real important, we ask that you keep the questions related to the east side, to the Pebble Hills Regional Command area, as that is what is being featured today. And again, if you don't feel comfortable raising your hand or addressing your question in the public forum, you can always do so via email at askpd@elpasotexas.gov. We will be having additional town hall meetings, and we will be announcing those at a future date. So I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today. And Commander Lanahan, thanks for taking time out and joining us today.
No, thank you. It's a pleasure being here, and I'm glad for having this town hall meeting.
And Commander, before we get started, of
Yes.
course, one of the things, you are a newly promoted commander.
Yes.
You're new to the Pebble Hills area, so I think this will probably be a
Okay.
good opportunity to
Sure.
introduce yourself there to
Definitely.
many of
Okay.
the members.
Before we can talk about that, I mean, I'd like to send our thoughts and prayers to the community in Uvalde, Texas. The tragic event occurred yesterday, and our hearts go out to them. Just want to bring that up and say, it's a sad situation. Just want to send our heartfelt thoughts.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I was promoted in December, and beginning of the year, I was assigned to the Pebble Hills Regional Command as the commander. I'm not new to Pebble Hills. I worked there from 2002 to 2006. I've got 35 years on the department. I worked Central Patrol. I worked Foot Patrol as well, Metro Bike Unit, Right Response Team. I was an audit theft. I went back to Pebble Hills and patrol as a supervisor, and audit theft task force, and then internal affairs. And now I'm really excited about my new assignment. Started at the beginning of the year, Pebble Hills Commander.
Okay. And Commander, one of the things that we've done in many of the town hall meetings, many people may not be aware if they live in a certain area.
Okay.
So let's talk a little bit about the Pebble Hills area.
Okay.
What area that covers?
Well, Pebble Hills is the largest region in the city. It's humongous. It's population 245,000 plus, 60 square miles. We have the most populated zip code. If it's a fun fact, most populated zip code in the nation, 79936. We do have 4 city representatives that fall within Pebble Hills. We have District 3, which is Representative Cassandra Hernandez. Well, I had the pleasure of meeting, I guess, a few weeks ago at the Cielo Vista Neighborhood Association. And then we have District 5, Representative Isabel Salcido. District 6, Representative Claudia Rodriguez. And, of course, we have District 7, Representative Henry Rivera, who also used to work out of Pebble Hills as an officer.
Right.
And that's the boundaries. Airway, well, it's just west of Airway, which is Buffalo Soldier, formerly called Robert E. Lee, stretches all the way east, north of the freeway, pretty much as far as the city limits, past Pebble Hills High School, John Hayes. It's, like I say, it's 60 square miles, 245,000 population, heavily trafficked, and we go for the busiest region of all the regions.
And it's definitely, I mean, we have a lot of different things. We have businesses, we have residential, we have, of course, many
2 malls
out
we
there.
got
Yeah, so
2 large malls, I should say, yes.
Yeah, so definitely a lot that's going on there. And so, tell us a little bit about some of the different services or the
Okay.
makeup of
Sure.
Pebble Hills.
The makeup of Pebble Hills, we have first of all we have patrol shifts. We have the day shift, who's run by Lieutenant Spencer. We have evening shift, run by Lieutenant Briones. We have the Graveyard Baker Shift run by Lieutenant Takasi. We have our Criminal Investigations Division and our tactical units run by Lieutenant Ruiz. And we have our Community Services unit and traffic run by Lieutenant Shelton. And we have AJ Navarro, who's also supervisor with the Community Services and Police Area Representatives. Now, they all have different functions. Patrol, I mean, they're call to call. They're busy. I think, in fact, year to date, through April 2022, they were dispatched to 14,914 calls.
Wow.
April alone, 4,065 calls they were dispatched to. So between call to call, they try to do self-initiated work as well. They made good felony arrests. Each shift provides me with a weekly performance plan, how to address crime and fatalities, how to reduce fatalities. And I'll go over those a little bit more. Our CID tax section, we have detectives. They average about 35 cases a month, each detective. And then we have our tactical units. We have TAC 1, TAC 2. TAC 1 primarily works a day shift. And what they do is they follow up on more like robberies and burglaries. And they do a great job. They're like bloodhounds. They'll see, they'll scent and they'll find, canvass the areas, look for evidence, and they do a great job. They made great arrests as well. TAC 2, they work at night. I call them my jack of all trades. If we're running low on patrol, we put them in uniform. They assist patrol, or we identify trends. They'll work surveillance. They'll look for our repeat offenders, and if there are warrants, they'll look for them and take them off the streets. They do a great job as well. And then we have our community services. I'll go more detail. We have two of our community services officers here. We have Officer Gomez and we have Officer Candia, who are going to go over the cadet program, formerly known as the Explorers, and also the Neighborhood Watch Association. Now, they can give crime prevention tips. The community services also does career day. They can handle neighborhood disputes. They can provide school safety presentations. They do abundance of responsibility. They have abundance of responsibilities, so they really help out a lot as well.
So it's definitely a variety of services, of course, and specialties that each of the sections has there to
Yes.
address a lot of the concerns there that the public may have.
Yes, sir.
And one of the important things I know you were mentioning about our criminal investigations division, and so of course that has the detectives that will of course follow up on the reports that people made. But one of the questions that I know does come up from time to time is when a person files a report, what's the next step? So because some people I guess just assume maybe they make a report and then it takes care of itself.
So what they got to do is you should be given a incident information card from the patrol officer once you make your report with a case number. If you don't hear me within a week from a detective, I would call the number that they circled. That's the number to the CID detectives. Call, kind of inquire about your case, what's going on, what's happening. And that way they can bring you in for statements. Get what if you want to continue pursuing the issue, and they'll let you get a status of how far along they gone in the case. Each case is different. Some cases are not enough leads or not enough to pursue the case, and we have to consider it inactive. But there are leads and does fit the elements, we will pursue the case as far as we can go, as long as the complainant wishes to pursue the case. And it's a process. But if you don't hear from our detectives within a week, I would follow up with that, call that number to ensure that it's being worked on.
Okay, and it's many times too. It's also important the information that they provide at that initial filing of the report, either with that officer or whatever method they do choose to file the report. Because I know when I did some investigations, sometimes there was an old number that was provided or different things, which make it, of course, hard for us to be able to follow up with that citizen.
Yeah, sometimes it's old information. They'll enter a name, they're already in the system, and made a previous report, and they use the old number. So if you're not contacted within a week, it's best to follow up. Maybe they had the wrong number, or maybe the number's written down wrong, or maybe you provided an old number. Anything can happen, but the fact is, you don't hear within a week. It's best to follow up to ensure it doesn't fall between the cracks. And we do our audits as well to make sure cases. Hey, what's wrong with this case? How come you haven't called back the complainant in a certain amount of time frame? And we'll continue to follow up on those type of things. But it's best if you hadn't heard within a week to make sure you contact us.
Now, one of the interesting things you touched a little bit upon there, Commander, was you were mentioning, of course, the TAC units, and so part of what the TAC units do is they address patterns or different crime that does happen. But that's also combined, I guess, also with statistics and other information, right?
Yeah, talking about tactical units. Well, in fact, we made a couple good arrests the last couple of weeks. We had a robbery, I guess a week and a half ago in the Pebble Hills area. Patrol responded, did a great preliminary investigation. TAC took over. They worked it very, very hard before it became a trend. Within several days, they were able to identify the subjects involved. They did pull them over. We did do surveillance on them, and of course, they were pulled over before Bassett Center Mall. What recovered was some of the property taken in the robbery, and also fentanyl as well as meth. 5 subjects were arrested for that robbery.
Wow.
And a couple days, yesterday, day before yesterday, there was a robbery at a convenience store. The guy held up the clerk at gunpoint. TAC 2 responded right away, put a description. Patrol was able to spot the vehicle in several minutes, and the subject was taken into custody. The weapon used was located, as well as property taken from the robbery. So TAC units, they do use statistics. We use their crime analysis to identify trends. We'll set up surveillance. We'll look for repeat offenders and see what kind of style of the crime, what some modus operandi, their style of crimes.
Yeah, but if it's a certain thing that we've seen before,
Exactly.
it could end up being that offender.
Exactly, and that helps a lot. Statistics and knowledge of the criminals. A lot of them commit the same type of crimes, and so that really helps a lot. The tactical units, they depend on that a lot, and they're mostly self-initiated, trying to locate the subjects that are wanted or criminals. Also, like I say, set up surveillance. They did a couple weeks ago as well, set up in a convenience store and did locate a beer run. They chased the subject, took him into custody as well. So there's a lot of good work being out there by these officers, all the officers out there.
You know, and one of the parts also of preventing crime goes, of course, now to one of the things that we had mentioned. We do have Officer Gomez joining us as well, which has to do with crime prevention and neighborhood watch programs. And so that's really important, right?
That is important. In fact, I could talk a little bit about crime a little bit, just to let you know. So our burglary vehicles, they're up 19%. Of course, it's increased. We made a couple arrests of some multiple burglars, but in March it was up 23%. So it's coming down a little bit. The thing about it is, a couple weeks ago we had 7 burglary vehicles, and 5 of those vehicles, the vehicles were left unlocked. And that's some things we need to do is that crime triangle. You have a offender, you have a victim or target, and you have opportunity. If we can get rid of the opportunity, one of those opportunity, lock your vehicles. Don't leave things available in plain view. You're going to give them incentive to break into that vehicle. A lot of our burglar vehicles, they're opportunists. They're trying to pull on door handles, and we see it all the time. People going through neighborhoods to the cameras, the surveillance cameras, pulling on door handles until they find that one that's open. So that's one of the things that in order to help prevent crime, we need to work together and need to make sure you take care of your valuables and lock your vehicles. And that's very important.
And, you know, that's really important advice of what you're saying there, Commander, because it does happen a lot. We do see people that become now victims not only of losing that property that they had in their car, but now they're victims of identity theft or credit card abuse and other facts that happen on there. But, you know, I know often we're asked, of course, hey, well, what are you doing to address this certain crime? But the same question is, you know, as far as all of us in the community, what are we all doing together to try to prevent crime? So that's the steps of locking your car and taking those participation. But we'll go and talk here to Officer Gomez. And Officer Gomez, thank you for taking time out and joining us. Now, of course, one of the questions that does come up a lot from our community is about the Neighborhood Watch. Tell us a little bit about the program. How does it work?
Well, the program, first of all, you have to be interested in the program. And the first thing is to try to find out if your block actually participates in the program.
Okay.
And one of those things would be to find out if you have a neighborhood watch sign. Okay. If you happen to have one, you can inquire with your neighbors to see if it's active. If there's no sign, obviously there's no participation in that program. But if either way, they can contact me at 212-4707. That's my office number, and they can leave me a message, and I'll get back to them. Once they become interested, the best thing to do is contact the other neighbors to feel if they have the same interest. And once we do that, then they can arrange a meeting with myself, and I can go out there and explain the whole program and let them know how it works and actually the cost of the program itself too. There's a lot of benefits to it, and people just have to, how would I say, get with the program.
And one of the things there is really it gives an opportunity for neighbors to get to know each other and actually know what to look for, right?
Yes, sir. One of the things that we actually try to stress upon them is to get to know your neighbors. Get to know who drives what, who hangs out where. And if you see anything suspicious that seems out of place, give us a call. we'll go out there and check it out and find out if it's something actually worthwhile looking into as far as a crime or just something just happened to be passing by. But the best thing is to give us a call. That way we can get down to the problem.
And you were mentioning a little bit about the cost, and so I think one thing that some people may not be aware of is there's not an actual cost to participate, but there is a cost, which is the signs, right?
Yes, sir. The cost is $37 for the sign, um, which may be divided among the neighbors who participate in the program. If you had 8 people or 10 households, whatever the case may be, then you divide up the 37 by that number, and that would be basically $6, $7, $8, depending on the household. And of course, if you already have an existing sign at the corner, let's just say you have an open block, you would need 2 signs, one at each end, and of course that would be 2 times 37 because each one is $37. If you just have a cul-de-sac, then you just need 1 sign because the entrance of the cul-de-sac obviously at the dead end. And if you don't have a pole or an existing stop sign at that end of the block,
There might be additional costs.
then that's when the additional cost would kick in as far as buying a pole from a fencing company or Home Depot or Lowe's, or those kind of places.
Right.
And of course, we don't have the prices for that because, of course, we don't own the stores. But that's something that would be furnished to us. And of course, we would have the city erect the signs once the program is in effect.
And so I know I think one of the important things too is, and I guess usually it's probably the person that first starts trying to organize everything, but there's usually a captain and a co-captain, right? Or
Yes,
a block captain, right?
Yes, sir. There's a block captain and co-captain. Basically, the block captain would be the point of contact with the officer, which would be myself. And of course, he would be the mediator among his group and the police department. If they needed some sort of training or they'd like to get some information on certain topics, then they would contact me and we would try to set up a meeting for them with their, their presenter.
Mm-hmm.
That way they could learn on topics such as auto theft, you name it, anything that we can get our hands on as far as crime related. We could probably have some guest speaker show up and present to them.
Okay. Officer Gomez, anything else you'd like to add there about the program?
It's very beneficial to the public that they participate in this thing because simply one of their biggest investments in their lifetime is going to be their home.
Right.
And they have to be comfortable and secure in their home. And if they're not comfortable and secure, then it's, you have to have a sense of security. If anything, at least where you live. And that being the case, of course, it'd be beneficial to have the more participants, the better, simply because you have more eyes out there looking for situations or problems that might arise.
Well, and like you said, just the fact of getting to know one another is a big factor. Knowing what to look for and understanding of having that communication. So it definitely makes a difference.
Yes. Not only do we have the Neighborhood Watch program, we have also the Business Watch program, which is the same concept except it's a business.
For all the different businesses in the
Yes.
city, right?
As the commander was mentioning the fact that he had some robberies just recently solved or aggravated robberies at the stores. One of the crimes was recently cleared basically through people giving information on the suspicious activity of the offender and also the vehicle that they were driving. So it led to that arrest.
That's again, like you said, just the community involvement. Thank you so much, Officer Gomez. Great information on that.
Yes, sir.
And Commander, I know one of the other aspects that is really important is also the involvement of the youth. And of course,
Yes.
you were mentioning a little bit earlier. We were talking about the cadet program, which formerly known as Explorers, but
right.
now it's the cadet program. And of course, we do have Officer Candia join us to talk
Right.
about that. And Officer Candia, thanks for again taking time out and joining us on this. But
Thank you for having us.
tell us about the cadet program. How does that work?
Well, basically, it's going to be youth between the ages of 14 and 20.
Okay.
They're interested in some kind of law enforcement. It doesn't have to be El Paso PD. It could be anything, customs, border patrol, something related to law enforcement. We encourage them to come in, talk to us. Basically, it's a requirement to come in. You have to have at least C average in school.
Okay.
You have to be attending school. And we do check as far as the grades. You do have no police records. We do background checks. It is not a boot camp. You know, the kids that come in, they're already good kids. And what we try to do is we try to mentor them. Okay, we try to have them, you know, do different events in the community, help out in the community. We're role models. So we try to have meetings. They try to attend different meetings during the week. So we'll do meetings depending on when they're available. So it's try to bring in the kids to, you know, be a mentor. Try to get them involved in the community.
And as far as the cadet program, you know, we've even had officers that were at one
Yes.
point part of that cadet program and later on
We've
became
had
part of our
several,
agency.
actually.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, we've had several that, you know, they go through the program, they like it, and I've actually had some kids age out and they go into the military. Recently, I had one young kid, he went into the Air Force.
Wow.
Last year, they went into the Air Force too. So we have had, fortunately, formerly known as explorers, cadets, they go into the El Paso PD. So we have had several. And it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling for them to, you see them grow up, you see them, you know, do an impact, and then they join our department.
Yeah, they actually go and fulfill their
Right.
dream of
Exactly.
being involved in law enforcement. And one of the questions too is how often do they meet?
We try to do at least once a week.
Okay.
Okay, so basically right now with school, it's going to be after school. We do have events on the weekend. We'll have different events from, it's coming up in July, we're going to have the safety fair
Oh, that's right.
at Bassett Center.
Yes, sir.
So we're going to have them there helping out with the kids, playing with the kids. And also we're the mentors to them, and we want them to become mentors too. So they'll play with the kids and, you know, be mentors to them too.
Okay. Well, that is I know it's been a very good program for quite some time. Now, one of the things too that some people might not realize too is that of course there's competitions that these
Yes.
kids participate in against. I think it's national too, right?
Yeah, we do national and we do state competitions. And basically, what we do is we do training. Some of the training that we do once a week is getting prepared for those competitions for state and nationals. And the training would be active shooters, would be clearing the buildings, searches, felony stops, regular traffic stops. So a little bit to show them what El Paso Police does. So we show them.
Okay. And so if people are interested in becoming part of it, and live in the Pebble Hills area, they can just contact the Pebble Hills Regional
Yes.
Command and find out
Each
more.
region has their own cadets.
Okay.
So if you live within any region, you could call that region, and they're doing it. As far as for Pebble Hills, they could call me at 915-212-4747, and I'll talk to them, give them the requirements and everything, and just talk to them. A lot of times I like talking to the kids, seeing what's on their mind.
Okay. And I know we've talked a little bit about it before too. I think one of the great things about it too is that you meet with kids, make sure that is something that they actually want to be part of.
Yes.
The parents are also involved, so we need to make sure it's so everybody's involved. We're all on
Right.
the same page.
Right.
And
Yeah,
makes
before
a
we
success.
actually accept them, like I said, I like to talk to the youth and see what's on their mind. You know what I mean? Because if the parents are the ones that want to push them and they really don't want to do it, it won't work. You know, as much as they push them, it won't work. It has to come from them. But you'll see. You know what I mean? They're involved in law enforcement at schools. You know what I mean? So they like that. They like that, you know, atmosphere. And you can see right away.
All right. Officer Candia, thanks so much for the information. And here in a bit, we're going to go ahead and be opening up to questions that you may have as far as the Pebble Hills area. So if you live or work again in the east side of town, want to know a little bit more about what's going on, or you have a specific question, go ahead and just raise your hand. When you are prompted to do so, go ahead and unmute yourself. Wait a few moments, and then you can go ahead and begin speaking, and we'll be able to hear your question. You can also, of course, send us a question at askpd@elpasotexas.gov. And Commander, before we get to those questions, and as we give people an opportunity to come up with some of their questions that they may have, I know we've talked a little bit about crime. We've talked about
Right.
some great arrests that have happened.
Right.
But overall, how's crime been at Pebble Hills?
Well, crime, we're holding steady. We're about the same as we were last year to date, the same time last year. The thing that are driving our crime is the robberies. We got 23 this year compared to 14 the same time last year. But like I said, we made those two arrests, five subjects in the first arrest and one the second arrest. We're hoping to help the numbers come down. Our burglary vehicles, like I say, we were up 19%, but in March we were up 23%. So we brought that down a little bit with a few arrests. They committed multiple burglary vehicles. So we're trying to hope those will help the numbers so we can be down. But the good news is our burglary halves and our burglary businesses we're down 58%.
That's
So
great.
that helps a lot. So we're going to try fighting to keep crime. I believe in working with the community, our eyes and ears. If you see something suspicious, report it. I mean, no matter how minor you think it is, it can lead to something else, and it really helps us a lot as well. But before we go any further, I'd like to also continue statistics, the crime analysis. I mentioned the performance plans that each shift does, including CID and TAC. We get those through the statistics. We identify the trends for crime. We develop possible suspects, and we deploy our resources where we think they need to be for crime, and as well as fatalities to keep them down. Currently, the city has 27 fatalities. Pebble Hills has 2. That's two too many. However, being the biggest region with most traffic, 2 compared to the citywide 27, I think a lot of the performance plans that we do, that we provide, make our officers or have our officers do, I think it helps reducing the fatalities. What we do is we identify the intersections the top collision intersections, and we heavily enforce it with traffic enforcement. We also identify those areas where serious traffic collisions or fatalities, heavy enforcement and all patrol shifts. And we also do bar checks to make sure there's no over-serving, and also our presence there won't make someone think twice about getting the vehicle if they've been drinking. We do a number of things we also check areas known for racing. In fact, a couple weeks ago, or last week, we located several vehicles in an area known for racing, gave it a couple citations.
People are calling. A lot of people are seeing this. this might be a bigger issue than what we originally thought.
No, exactly true. No matter how minor you think it is, it may lead to something a little more extreme. So I think it's best just call in. It's better safe than sorry, as they say.
And we'll go ahead and start taking
Oh,
some of the.
before that,
oh,
if
yes,
you're
sir.
interested in the cab, my administrative assistant, Ms. Marty Cubillo, she's real on top of it. If you're interested in that Citizens Advisory Board, had more questions on it, you can contact her at 915-212-4653.
Okay. And so again, that's if somebody's interested.
Right.
And it's open to anybody there in the Pebble Hills area that lives in that area that
Yes.
wants to again to be involved. And so starting June the 14th.
June 14th, the second
we'll-
Tuesday of every month.
We'll
Yes.
start the meeting.
Yes.
And so we'll do a reminder, but I know we've had a couple of questions that have come in, and one which I think we've covered in some of the other town hall meetings that we've had, but it does come in from time to time, is if somebody has a concern or some type of complaint against an officer,
Right.
how do they go about being able to address that?
There's several ways. If you have a complaint against an officer, you can go to any of the regions. They're 24/7. There's always a supervisor there. They'll take your complaint, and either they'll handle it at the region, or it depends what type of complaint it is, or it'll be handled at internal affairs. If you don't feel comfortable going to a region and speaking to a supervisor, you can go to internal affairs. They're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. They're downtown at 211 North Florence, Suite 205. No appointment necessary. Just Monday through Friday, between 8 and 4. Their number's 915-212-0157. But they can also do it online. You can go to eppd.org, go into internal affairs, and you can either email them to initiate your complaint, and they'll contact you, or you can fill out an affidavit and notarize it. And if they have follow-up questions or need you to come in, they will initiate and continue follow-up on your complaint.
And a lot of times too, Commander, I think sometimes it's just either not understanding or miscommunication that
Yes.
ends up happening, which a lot of times just even a quick explanation ends up really.
You'd be
taking
surprised how
care
many
of it.
times it's a quick explanation. They didn't understand what the officer was doing, and if it just explained what had occurred, and they're satisfied with that, that does happen quite a bit as well.
One of the other questions that was coming up was on junked vehicles, and so
Yes.
if somebody thinks there's a junked vehicle there in their neighborhood, or they are
Right.
seeing a junked vehicle, what can they do about that?
They can call 311, and a lot of times our police area representatives go handle those junk vehicles. 311 also for numerous things. It could be not just junk vehicles, but also abandoned vehicles. If a vehicle's parked there more than 5 days, they can look into that. Graffiti, those type of things. Code enforcement also can get involved as well. They work under the police department as well. And other thing I'll bring up is code watches. Code watches, you can go online, eppd.org, and click on the community services, and fill out when you're going to go out of town. You know, if someone's going to be watching your house as well. But a lot of times, people feel safe when we're driving by, checking the vehicles when they're out of town, or not vehicles, the residences while they're out of town, and that's a service that we offer as well.
And you know, one of the things, Commander, on that too, and you know, we're still in the training stages of it, but they're starting to be out in the field, is our Volunteers and Patrol Service, or VIPS,
Right.
which that's one of the main focuses that they have, which is of course the code watches and reporting possible quality of life issues, and the way on that program, it's basically a way to think of it is a neighborhood watch on wheels, and that's what it is. So it's members of the community, just like you. They do receive a little bit of training to understand about what some suspicious activity is. They document that, and another form of a liaison there between, of course, the community and
Right.
and the department. So and of course, if you're interested in that, all that you have to do is they have to become a police volunteer first.
Right.
Let us know that they want to be part of the VIP program, and then we'll go ahead and get them signed up in the class. And as a matter of fact, one of the requirements is to have participated or gone through a Citizens Police Academy. We actually just graduated a good number of members here this last month, and we're actually going to be trying to start up a new VIP class here towards the end of June. So if you are interested, if you've been through a Citizens Academy, if you were one of the graduates here from this last one, definitely let us know. We have been a little bit behind on a couple of things, so
Mhm.
I'll let everybody know here publicly. We're trying to catch up with a couple of things, but we'll be sending out to those that have currently graduated. We'll be sending out those applications to you here shortly. But anybody else that may have been part of it years back, we definitely want to hear from you if you're interested. Definitely apply. It's a great program. And our next Citizens Academy is actually going to be starting in September.
Okay.
So we want to remind the community,
Right.
anybody that might be interested in that, another great program for
Another great
for the
program.
community
Several programs.
to be involved. Another question that was coming in here, Commander,
Mm-hmm.
and especially I think with the events that we just
Right.
talked about that happened yesterday here in the state is, are there police officers assigned to area public schools?
Well, we have three public school districts within the Pebble Hills area. We have Socorro Independent School District, with a Saleta Independent School District, and we have the El Paso Independent School District. All three kind of operate a little differently. Socorro Independent School District, their police officers, they do have their own police force, and they do have officers at the schools. The Saleta Independent School District, they do have our police officers as school resource officers, and they're at most of the high schools and also some of the other schools. And what I'm told is that the officers that work at the high schools or nearby schools, if something occurs at a nearby school without an officer, that officer will respond to that as well. So they're within seconds, minutes even, close by. El Paso Independent School District, they also have their own police force. They all are law enforcement officers as well, and they patrol their schools. And so that's pretty much what police officers are responding to these respective school districts.
Okay, well,
Within Pebble
real
Hills.
good information on that, Commander. And just going back on our Citizens Advisory Board, I know that again, that's coming up. And tell us a little bit about what happens there in the meetings there.
Well, the meetings, I'll be attending those meetings as well. They're in the evening at 6 p.m. Like I say, I'll talk about what's going on with crime, what we're doing to address the certain crimes, talk about what certain issues or concerns that the community has. And we like to hear their concerns because we want to improve. We want to know what we need to do to improve ourselves or be better. And I think communication is key to that. And those Citizens Advisory Board meetings are really very helpful. And I think it's a key to, like I say, combating crime and making a better quality of life for all of us.
Yeah.
I think we all benefit.
And Commander, any last words as we close another town hall meeting that you'd like?
No,
the
I'm
public to
excited
know?
about being at Pebble Hills. I'm really excited. I mean, I probably was talking too fast 'cause I get excited about talking about Pebble Hills. I love it there. I love my job, and it's great. And I love meeting with the community and doing whatever we can to make it a better place. That's pretty much it.
Well, Commander, thank you. Officer Conde, thank you as well, and Officer Gomez for taking the time. We will be having additional town hall meetings, and we'll be giving you those dates at a later time. Again, if you want to ask a question, you can always send us a question, no matter when, at askpd@elpasotexas.gov. If it's related to Pebble Hills, let us know on the message, and we'll make sure that message gets to the commander, and the commander will be more than happy to address the concern that you may have. Thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you next time.